Hey there folks, this is GreenyXI welcoming you right back to Let's Play Umineko. This is episode 91. In the last episode we started off the 6th arc, where we found out the Feathering is this great overlord who I guess reads the stories that the Game Masters makes. Or does she actually give the stories to the Game Masters and they don't know about it? I don't actually know. But I think she has got a reader who will read her the story, so I guess it must be the Game Masters making them in the first place. But let's keep on going then. Let's see how this arc sort of spins. At one time, only Beato and her fellow witches had gathered in this smoking room to chat. Now, however, an unusually large number of people were present. Hey, I wonder what kind of game Battler's going to show us. It's going to be interesting what direction Battler goes in, isn't it? I don't care what it is, as long as it's fun enough to relive my boredom as I crush it. Relieve. Leave everything to me, my master. I will perform to my fullest and give you the results you desire. Yeah, you better. I kept making strange faces all last game thanks to you. I hope I don't start getting wrinkles from all that. There's no need to worry. The beauty of my master's face is without peer, no matter how wrinkly it may get. Bitch. Hey, it's rare to see Burn in such high spirits. Beato's game board really is something else. How sad it is that the master of this game board is no longer with us. A tiger dies and leaves behind its hide. Looks like Beato died and left behind her game. Even though chess still exists, no one knows the name of the person who invented it. Really? Oh, you're right. Poor game inventors. Come to think of it, Battler-san really has kept us waiting, hasn't he? Is he still setting up the 6th game? Gertrude, how have Lord Battler's preparations progressed? Please, allow me to speak. Know that he will be finished very soon. If he's kept us waiting this long, he must be pretty confident in his plan. He really humiliated me in front of my master last time. I'll defeat him no matter what it takes. And you in particular. Make sure you don't screw up again. I will meet the challenge with all my strength. The previous Game Master, Lambda Delta, had confirmed that Battler understood everything about Beato's game. However, in order to prove it, Battler would have to run this game by himself and carry it through to completion. In other words, if Erica could crush this game of Battler's, she would in effect wipe away the dishonour of that last game. Though Erica was chomping at the bit to get started, it was taking Battler quite some time to show himself. At that time, a swarm of gold butterflies popped into existence and took human form. From the shape of that familiar dress, everyone immediately realised who it was. Beatrice! Ah, look, it's Beatrice-san. And I thought you died and disappeared last time. The one who died last time was Beatrice the player. This is probably just a piece, Battler's piece. Even if she is a piece, it does not change the fact that it is her. Beatrice gave an elegant curtsy as she appeared. This humble entrance was so vastly different from her usual high-pitched laugh, that it made the long-awaited start of the 6th game feel even more ominous than it otherwise would have. Father will be here very soon. I ask that you wait for just a short while longer. Father? The heck? Is that the new spin this time? Not only had Beato started talking in an unusually polite manner, she had also used the word father, presumably referring to Battler. For an instant, everyone was stunned into silence, but they quickly realised that this was setting up some kind of theme, and they grinned. Beato wasn't the type who could keep up this kind of act for long. It would probably fall apart in a few seconds, leaving her cackling rudely at everyone. Erica, who was itching for a fight, went for Beato almost at once. I can't believe that incompetent Battler-san reached the truth of your game. I'm sure Father understands it quite deeply. He really is good at that sort of thing. Still, you're pretty lucky. If Battler hadn't become the Game Master, you wouldn't have revived again. You've really got the luck of the devil, don't you? The luck of the devil? Well, either way, I'm going to pay you back in full for last time. You're just one of Battler's delusions. so I'll erase every part of you and knock you down into the abyss of oblivion. I too cannot allow you such an easy victory. I look forward to having a good clean fight. By this point, everyone realised that something weird was going on. There was no doubt that the face, the dress, and the hair were all Beatrice's. However, her expression was different. Even though she had Beato's face, Beato would never show anyone an expression like that. Who are you? There was a heavy silence. Lambda Delta spoke for everyone there. At first, Beato had worn a smiling, yet blank expression. However, when she realised that the mood had gone suddenly stiff, her expression finally darkened, and she hung her head. Who are you? You appear to be Lady Beatrice, but are you not? Even Glana was forced to ask, despite the rudeness of the question. That was how much this woman, who appeared to be Beato, was not. Am I somehow different from the Beatrice everyone was expecting? What are you talking about? Wait a second. Don't tell me you have amnesia or something. I was only born recently, so I have no memories at all. However, I will study hard in order to become the Beatrice you all expect. Beato, I thought I told you to stay in your room. Battler's voice came out of nowhere. His tone was very slightly cold. Beato's expression looked like that of a young girl being scolded. Nice cape. With a swirl of gold butterflies, Battler appeared. His dignified bearing and appearance were fitting for the ruler of this game. However, his expression was gloomy, and his gaze was directed at Beato. Go back to your room. You aren't supposed to be here. I just wanted to help you however I could, Father. Go to your room. He spoke both softly and forcefully. Battler didn't leave her any room for debate. Beato hung her head and curtsied as she prepared to leave the room. Also, yes, what is it, Father? My name is Battler. Never call me by a different name again. Yes. Beato melted into a cloud of gold butterflies and disappeared. This was the first part of the tale with Battler as the game master. The witches had all assumed that he'd come forward with some flashy big developments, so this was all completely unexpected to them. Their mouths were still hanging open. This is a pretty weird take on it. Pardon me. Please forget what you saw just now. You're playing dumb. This is all just part of your plan, isn't it? You're scheming to give us the wrong impression, like another North Wind and the Sun strategy, aren't you? Is there something wrong? Don't worry about it. It has nothing to do with you people. I see. Guess it doesn't matter then. Okay, Battler. Start up the new game right away. You've kept us waiting so long, it's totally gotten boring. Sure. Let's start the 6th game. Erica, and you too, Burncastle. This will be my tale. Proof that I've reached Beatrice's truth. Lambda Delta, excuse me. Please watch this game until the end, as a former game master. Sure, looking forward to it. What's the title? Dawn. As in the dawn of the Golden Witch. Sure, if we're talking about a winter sun that goes below the horizon right away. Of course, my master. I'll drag it back down for you. At least your naming sense is good, Battler-san. I'll give you that much. I'm glad you like it. Then let's get started. The 6th game will now begin. Battler solemnly announced the start of the game. Compared to his fired up attitude at the end of the previous game, where he and Erica had sworn to settle everything next time, he was extremely quiet now. Angie. Beato seems to have changed a lot since we last saw her. I'm surprised too. I don't have a clue what's going on. I don't even get why Beato's alive in the first place. I just finished reading it a second ago, but at the end of the previous tale, didn't she die just before Battler reached the truth? There are 2 kinds of death in this world. One of them is when a piece is taken from the game board. Such a death exists only within the bounds of the game, and these lives can revive over and over again each time a new game begins. That's why the witches are so merciless when it comes to taking those lives. To the witch players, the lives of those characters who appear on the game board are no different from pieces on a chessboard that take other pieces and get taken. After all, these pieces will be set up again when the next game starts. Maria's Sakataru is a prime example of these. Sakataru is Oni-chan's piece? Yes, that makes sense. In the game board that represents the inside of Oni-chan's head, Sakataru certainly does exist, and is a piece that always stays by her side. Though he's nothing more than a stuffed animal in the real world, on Oni-chan's game board, he's no less of a piece than any other. But I wonder, if he were a piece in a witch's game, it should be possible to revive him easily, right? But Oni-chan wasn't able to revive Sakataru in her world. That's because she lost that completely unique stuffed animal that was his vessel. Because of this, the conditions for that piece's existence were violated, and it became impossible to revive him on Maria's game board. The only reason you were able to revive Sakataru on the game board was because you once again satisfied the conditions for his existence, correct? True. Maria Oni-chan was only unable to revive him because she had lost the stuffed animal that was his vessel. If, like the rest of my family on Beato's game board, she hadn't needed a vessel for him, she would have been able to revive him as often as she wanted. I get it. It makes sense that Sakataru was Oni-chan's piece. At least, as long as his vessel was okay, he could have been revived over and over again. Correct. As long as his vessel is safe, he can be revived over and over again. That's what the life of a piece is like. That's the first kind of death in this world. What's the second? That's the death of beings outside the game board. To continue with the Sakataru example, this would be like Maria's death. You mean, not her death as a piece, but the death of the real Oni-chan, right? Not necessarily. Loss of interest or concern would have the same effect. When Maria outgrows playing with stuffed animals, Maria the game player will die. It's as quick and easy as turning off the switch on a TV when you get bored of it. I see. In that case, Beato the player completely gave up on winning during the last game, so she died and vanished. Which means, if Beato ever comes back thinking she's got a chance of defeating Oni-chan, that'll mean she's come back to life, right? Logically, that's true. It's the same for humans, witches, and even gods. If they lose interest and concern, they can die at any time. And if they regain that interest, they can revive at any time. However, though the concept of time does not exist in the world of gods, and they can revive whenever they want, time shoots by like an arrow in the human world, and it isn't so easy there. That's true. Skipping school for one day might not be a problem, but if you skipped for 3 days in a row, it'd be really hard to convince yourself to go back. And what if that's stretched out for a month, a year, a decade, or 1,000 years like in the world of witches? I see. If you skipped class for that long, it'd mean your death, socially. After being dead that long, not only would you be unable to catch up on all you missed in the world at large, you'd also lose any motivation you might have had when you left. So even though you'd be alive, it'd be fair to say that you died at once. You would never again be able to regain the self that you once were. You would never come back to life. Beato lost any chance or hope of winning. Even though she knew this, she pretended not to and kept on fighting for many games. So Beato will not return. Her hopes were crushed. She spent all of the willpower that she might have used to regain the will to fight. Therefore, that Beatrice will never revive again. Oh, not in the red. Oh, I liked Beatrice. That Beato, who just sat around the whole time with empty eyes in the 5th game, must have been her corpse. She managed to remain on the game board despite it all, but then even that corpse was wiped away. If Beato had been the game master at that time instead of Lambda Delta, the game board itself would have vanished at that moment, and everything would have ended. Come to think of it, Beato started to lose the will to fight back near the end of the 4th game. When Beato loses her will to fight, the world of this game disappears. However, the witches wanted to keep playing in this game board world, so Lambda Delta bound Beato in place with that cursed shackle. She used that shackle to fix the game board in place and prevent it from disappearing. Even if Beato did lose the will to fight, In chess, this would be the equivalent of removing the set time limit for each turn, making it endless. However, simply having the game endlessly paused on Beato's turn would cause the witches to die from the illness of boredom. That's why Lambda Delta took the position of Game Master. Starting then, Beato's existence was no longer one of the conditions necessary for the game's existence. That's probably why the shackles binding her to the game board were released. And that explains why she disappeared in the 5th game. So, when Oni-chan managed to reach the truth, it was one game too late for him to tell Beato about it. The 5th game was a form of charity on Lambda Delta's part. She merely showed Battler some mercy as the Witch of Certainty, acknowledging his strong desire to reach the truth no matter what. How can you call that charity? It's just those fickle witches killing time. Let's get back to the point. So that means this weird Beato isn't the player Beato. She's just a piece Beato. True. If that's the case, she should eventually become the Beato everyone knows. Imagine that is the Beato the Battler wants. You mean he wasn't satisfied with just a doll? When playing with dolls, one can project the personality they most desire onto the doll. However, since you're acting out their part, nothing unexpected can ever happen. You cannot hope for any unanticipated happiness. In the human world, there's nothing so boring as a pre-established harmony. That's why, though a doll can become a person's best friend in the world, people eventually get bored and outgrow them. Oni-chan only wants the real Beato. He couldn't bear having a doll that only acted like Beato. A Beato born as Battler's piece would probably move according to Battler's wishes. That's only natural for a piece. Pieces move however their players tell them to, and they can't do anything else. I see what it is Oni-chan wants. So what's up with this weird Beato? Battler might be trying to revive Beato in the truest sense. That's the never-dying dream held by children of man. You just used the red to say that wasn't possible. That Beato will never revive. However, that doesn't mean that it is impossible for Beato to be born again. Have you forgotten? I believe the Burncaster herself revealed Beato's true form at the end of the 1st game. Now I remember. She said something about how Beato exists as the incarnation of a rule. Information began to be accumulated based around that rule, and in the end it took the form of the witch known as Beatrice. If that pattern is followed once more, the same Beatrice will be born again, and perhaps one could call that a resurrection. In other words, that weird Beato is Beato as an egg, or maybe a chick. That interpretation is probably accurate. In short, this Beato is a chick who might grow to become that Beato. And that means this pure and lovable kid will eventually grow into that screwed up, crazy witch. In other words, that Beato is a baby version of the Beato we all know. So just like no person is born evil, the newborn Beato isn't evil either. Even though she really is a different person if you measure her by her root, or perhaps her soul. Then maybe you really could call this a resurrection. However, this reality can't possibly be easy to accept. Though she may technically be Beato herself, she is also without a doubt a different person. And that way she acts would make anyone feel as though something's out of place. How entertaining. Hearing you read aloud is far from boring. I doubt you even really need someone to read aloud for you. Looks like you already know everything. I only reached that thought because I am engaged in a conversation with you. My thoughts are more numerous than the stars in the sky. I only appear to know everything to a child of man like you. However, without you here, I'm nothing but a weak, sickly person without even the power to think. If you just said that in the first place, I would have agreed to read for you a lot more easily. My mood just happened to improve. Don't get an overswelled impression of yourself. Your life means less to me than a leaf one has lost after using it as a bookmark. Please keep reading already. Is that pretty much what you're trying to say? Far from boring. You really do make an excellent Miko. Brethren rocked back in her rocking chair and looked up at the ceiling, laughing as though the conversation itself was pleasant for her. And she was slowly figuring out how to deal with this strange witch. This person was also bored. It's not uncommon for a sick person who's bored from being bedridden for a long time to start acting rebellious. On the other hand, they can also get a little bored of being treated kindly all the time. She may want to be shown respect for her superiority. but it's probably more interesting for her when she's spoken to rudely. What a coincidence. That's exactly how I used to be. Anyway, from what we learned in the 4th game, there's no doubt that there's been some kind of antagonism between Beato and Oni-chan in the past. Learning about this Beato might give us a key to finding the truth. It does seem so. It's caught my interest as well. Let's read her tale too. Oh, sure, as you wish, my master. When Angie raised her hands like a conductor, the bookshelves in this bizarre study responded. Once again, several books floated out and began to swirl around Angie. So we're reading Beatrice's tale? Kinzo's study is the room belonging to the master in the human world. So this study in the world of non-humans belonged to the master of the game board, and was a place where he could look down upon the humans. Therefore, one could hardly be blamed for mistaking the imposing, berobed man in the centre of the study for Kinzo, if only for a second. But it wasn't Kinzo. This was Battler, the one who had taken up the position of Game Master, becoming the new territory lord of this world. Around Battler was a swirl of glowing fragments, sparkling like the night sky. And on the floor was what appeared to be a red magic circle. To an outsider, it would seem to be nothing more than an incomprehensible geometric shape. But to Battler, who stood at its centre, it was the outline for a new tale. A new line grew across the magic circle, following Battler's gaze. Then, at the instant it connected with a complicated symbol, the entire magic circle flashed brightly. So, how does it look? It's splendid, Master. The 6th game is complete. As Battler wiped his forehead and finally relaxed, Genji, who was standing behind him and watching over his every move, nodded deeply in response. I always thought being a Game Master meant you could make the tale however you want. But this is seriously harder than I thought. You must write up multiple tales and make the inner and outer sides of the story match. Though truly, you have displayed such skill. It's hard to believe that this is your first time. I believe even Erika-sama will be satisfied with this game. Well, hopefully it matches that great detective's tastes. Still, I gotta honestly respect Beato now. I can hardly believe that she managed to make tales that complicated and do it so easily. Easily? Far from it. Beatrice-sama also worried, racking her brain over various contradictions each time she created a tale. She was constantly battling with logic errors. Logic errors? That's when the two sides of the tale do not meet, creating a contradiction. When this happens, it becomes a fatal violation of the rules known as a logic error, and the game board will immediately collapse and be destroyed. It's the greatest and worst form of error that the witch side can make, and one which must always be avoided. So, Beato got close to bumping into those many times in her games. She fought with them every time she created a game. I believe it grew even more difficult for her as you became a more formidable opponent. So, do you think this game I've made is good enough to show Beato? Yes, of course. Beato hasn't woken up yet, has she? It's been a while since her body was formed as a personification of the rules. Is she still not awake? After remaining silent for a while longer, Genji answered. She woke up 3 days ago. You were concentrating on the construction of the 6th game, so I decided to wait before telling you. My sincere apologies. Oh really? Yeah, I'll bet she's still all drowsy after sleeping so long. I really wanted to show her my game. No, it's more than that. I have to show her. I need to tell her that I've understood everything. Battler's face broke into a smile. There was no trace in his expression of the hatred he once had, or once felt, towards Beato for murdering his family. In a way, that was the final riddle of the 5th game. Yes. When Battler reached the truth, there was a great change in his impression of Beato. So should we assume that there really was something between Oni-chan and Beato, and that he forgot all about it? However, Battler suspected this in the 4th game and asked Beato about it. According to the tale, this was denied by the Red Truth. 6 years ago, no person called Beatrice existed for Battler. We can read this as saying that Beato did not exist 6 years ago, or could simply mean that she had no connection to Battler at that time. However, either way, Battler did not visit Rokkenjima at all for the next 6 years. October 4th, 1986 should have been the first time Beatrice and Oni-chan met. If so, why was there already some kind of antagonism between them? I don't have a clue what it means. That sin of Ashuramaya Battlers, which Beato took Battler to task for in the 4th game, might give us a clue. The result of that might have been Beatrice herself. The result? The result of Oni-chan's sin was Beato? That almost sounds as though Oni-chan created the witch called Beatrice himself. Almost as though Beatrice was Battler's piece. Battler sinned 6 years ago. Because of that sin, people died. The one doing the killing was Beatrice. If you consider the possibility that everything is connected to Battler's sin 6 years ago, then the one who created Beatrice was Battler himself. I thought it sounded almost as though she was Battler's piece. I don't get it. Even if Oni-chan sinned in some way, his crime couldn't have been anything close to murder. If this huge massacre is in retaliation for what he did, then it's totally out of proportion. Beato killed our family. Dad, Mom, Oni-chan, everyone. I can't believe that Oni-chan's sin was anything deserving of that. The weight of a sin depends on the person measuring it. Even a sin so light the Battler might have forgotten could have been so serious to Beato that she hated him enough to massacre his whole family as full 6 years after the fact. Even I find that a bit excessive, and more importantly, if you were a person like that, I would find it hard to accept that Battler would act so friendly towards her after discovering the truth. Featherin's observation was an interesting one. In a past game, Beato clearly said that Oni-chan's sin 6 years ago was the cause of this 2-day tragedy. I still don't know what kind of sin that was. However, he figured out what it was at the end of the 5th game, and he even apologised to Beato, even though she was the witch who had massacred his entire family in retaliation for his sin of 6 years previous. Battler apologised to her. Of course, it was the player Battler who apologised, not the peace Battler whose family had been murdered over and over again. But even so, Battler must have remembered something at the end of the last game that made him feel like apologising. It'll be interesting to find out what that is though. Does that mean this sin from 6 years ago is hidden somewhere in the tales we've seen so far? I've already formed a certain theory on that matter. No? Let's hear it. I cannot tell you yet. I want to enjoy being the only one who knows the answer for a little while longer. Well then, I guess I'm done reading for you. Well, we can't have that, can we? Have some patience and read a bit further. My theory is still nothing more than a guess. Once I'm certain of it, I'll tell you. Okay, my master. I actually do want to hear what comes next after all. Just what kind of connection do Oni-chan and Beatrice have with each other? Understanding that will probably give me a massive clue towards finding the truth of this world. After all, because he remembered that, he was able to reach the truth. We're going into the actual game. Beatrice! Welcome, Master. Beatrice-sama is waiting for you. This way, please. This place was a villa set aside for Beatrice's use. It was a sacred site for her only, built so that she could spend her days without being affected by the outside world. My heart began to race. I'm so glad that she was able to revive, that everything's okay. Beato's a personification of the rules, so even though she was destroyed once, it's possible for her to be reborn again. Battler had quickly succeeded in reviving Beato's body, but he'd had trouble summoning her soul back. However, during the time he'd spent immersed in the creation of the 6th game, she had woken up, and this had happened 3 days ago. Battler let himself be led into the dining hall. The dining hall had been set up for his and Beato's use. It existed so that they could enjoy some black tea while having conversations that were only possible now that he had reached all of the truth. I wanted to tell her. I wanted to tell Beato that I'd found the truth. Battler couldn't hold back his excitement over this miracle he'd been granted. The miracle of Beato waiting for him in the dining hall to hear what he had to say. How is Beatrice? Same as usual? Is she doing well? Oh yes, she's doing quite well. She's been waiting for you all this time, Master. Oh yes. So she's in the dining hall. Is she eating or something? That's okay, doesn't matter either way. Oh, you'll be surprised. Beatrice. When he swung open the doors to the dining hall, Battler was greeted by a wonderful sight. Though the food laid out on the table wasn't particularly sensational, it was arranged beautifully, and a champagne bottle stood there waiting. Then the person clad in that familiar dress with the beautiful golden hair bowed deeply in greeting. Beatrice, you have my sincerest gratitude for giving me this form. Ha. Come on, don't worry about that. I'm so glad, Beato. Battler rushed up to Beato and hugged her tightly, just to make sure her body wasn't just mist or an illusion. I solved your riddle for you, but then, before I could tell you about it, you went and disappeared. I'm right here. I'll not disappear. It's okay, you can stop talking like that. I'm not going to ask you for anything in return. Anyway, I want to apologise. And I want to talk with you. I don't even know where I should start. You've done nothing that you need to apologise for, Father. I'm glad just to be of service to you. Beato? Beatrice was born for your sake, Father. Please, let me support you. And Father, congratulations on completing the 6th game. I told you, stop talking like that. You're creeping me out. Do you find this style of speech displeasing? Please forgive my rudeness. No, I don't find it displeasing, but it's not like you. I guess I like the way you usually talk best. Beato smiled vaguely. To Battler, it probably looked as though they were both smiling at the unusual way she was talking. However, Beato's smile literally was vague and uncertain. After all, she didn't know how she was supposed to talk. Anyway, Beato, just what kind of joke is this? Don't tell me that the great Beatrice-sama decided to cook for me. When I heard that you had completed the 6th game, I wanted to see if I could prepare a modest reward to congratulate you. Oh, Beatrice-sama really worked hard to make this. I didn't even need to lend a hand at all. No, I didn't. The food set on the table really was modest and inexpertly made. You could tell by looking at it that Beato, who wasn't particularly skilled with cooking, had given it her all. However, signs of discomfort and irritation would begin to appear on Battler's face. What's going on here? Well, as she said, Beatrice-sama wishes to congratulate you. Sweat was starting to show up on Kumasawa's forehead. She was also feeling uneasy. When he noticed, Battler realised that it wasn't just his imagination. Beato turned her back to Battler and stuck a corkscrew into the champagne bottle. Sorry. Then she showed it to Battler. Father, congratulations on the completion of the 6th game. In the hopes that you will prove victorious over your longtime rival, Furudo, Erika. Pop! When presented with a champagne bottle and a sound like that, anyone would think that the cork had been pulled out. However, it wasn't the cork. Oh. It was the bottom of the bottle. The high-quality champagne that Beato had procured splashed out all over the floor and her dress. Then the same sound repeated several more times. Each time, one of the plates of food on the table was knocked into the air. Father, did you find the food displeasing? Who are you? I am Beatrice. I was born for your sake, Father. That's not right. Huh? Who is this? This isn't Beato. And anyway, don't call me Father. What's going on here? What's this? Didn't I revive Beato? Genji, what's this all about? My apologies. But that's indeed Beatrice-sama. You kidding me? How is this supposed to be Beato? She's totally wrong. A fake. No, this is Beatrice-sama. This is without a doubt Beatrice-sama, who was born in accordance with the rules of the game board. No, this isn't anything like Beato. Beato would always talk in that weird way and laugh rudely, and... No, this is most certainly Beatrice-sama herself. Then why is she talking like that? Why is she calling me father? Beatrice-sama was only born a short while ago. It would be far too cruel to expect her to act as she once did so soon. You saying that her memory hasn't returned yet? Master, this person truly is Beatrice-sama herself. However, she's not the Beatrice-sama you know so well. What are you talking about? I'm the game master, right? Why can't I revive Beato? Beatrice-sama has revived. However, the old Beatrice-sama lived for 1,000 years. This Beatrice-sama, on the other hand, was only born a short while ago. If she appears to be a different person, well, that just can't be helped. Then how can I revive that Beato? Her body's right here. How can I revive her soul? If she lives the same 1,000-year life again, she should become the same Beatrice-sama she was before. You tell me to wait 1,000 years? A person's personality isn't decided solely by their birth. It can change drastically based on how they live and what they experience. Do you understand? Even though she is the same Beato, she is not the same. I get it. Even if you had two of the exact same person, they could change enormously depending on their upbringing. Even though they might both be the same human to start with, their upbringing could change them so much that they effectively became two completely different people. Usually, we use the term person to refer to a person, not their personality. However, since humans recognize a person by their personality, those two might as well be different people, from a human perspective. That's so true. If that tragedy 12 years ago hadn't happened, this little lady of ours might be a cute girl who could smile without looking weird. That's rude. I'm plenty cute as it is. I understand. If a personality is what makes a person in our eyes, you could probably say that a second personality represents a different person entirely, even if it inhabits the same flesh body. At the very least, I'm a completely different person than I used to be 12 years ago. And if my family had come home 12 years ago, then the Angie that resulted would surely be a completely different person from me. Even a single human can become a different person. In fact, depending on their upbringing and endless possibilities, they can become an endless number of different people. So just because this is Beato, that's no guarantee that she'll become the Beato that Oni-chan knows so well. And on top of that, Beatrice is a witch who lived 1,000 years. People can die and be reborn in just 3 days. 1,000 years is such a huge amount of time. Seems you're quite a skilled reader. For most of my readers, it would be necessary to spend several hundred pages to explain how a single person can become different people depending on their upbringing and time. Don't underestimate your readers. We aren't just reading, we read and we think. If I make 100 people read it, about 90 will be able to. However, only 50 will actually understand what it means. And not even 20 will actually think beyond that. And all I ask is that they think it over a bit. Nothing more than that. However, it seems that you are one of those precious 20 readers. That's why I invited you here, child of man. It was seriously hard to like this Hachijo Toya person. However, though this forgery she had written was still in its first stages, it definitely felt as though it contained something very similar to the tales in those message bottles. Speaking metaphorically, one might call it a scent. An indescribably unique and stern atmosphere, like a stuffy library. The Beatrice who wrote the message bottles and Hachijo Toya are different people. And yet this has the same scent as that tale. I see. This is why some of those curious witch hunters are so intensely devoted to her. Their keen sense of smell was able to sniff out that familiar scent. Very well then. Please continue reading. There could be nothing more entertaining than watching your face as you glance over the words. That and speaking with you. I guess it's true that writers are always starving for opinions on their works. However, sorry to disappoint you. I don't have time to read all the way through this thick manuscript. More importantly, and yet you have plenty of time. Both the second hand and the pendulum on the ornate clock behind Hachijo had been moving the whole time. However, absolutely no time had passed for a while now. Only about 3 minutes had gone by since the time she had entered the room. See? Time isn't one of your problems. No sort of time will chase you away until you've finished reading. Next page, lady. Next page. Amakusa badgered me to turn the page, so I returned to the world of the tale once more. Why does her tail have the same scent as Beatrice's, I wonder? Is it because she actually has reached the truth, as she claims? Does this mean that anyone who knows the truth could create an endless number of message bottles? Is that how the Catbox world works? I see. I guess she might also be an endless witch. In fact, maybe anybody who knows the truth can become an endless witch. An endless tale created by the endless witches. The 2 days starting on October 4th, 1986, when my family is being toyed with endlessly. I have to end it. I have to find a hint of the truth from within this story and end this endless tale. What do you think, Beato? How's the 6th game I've made? Well, you're not the type to give me an honest compliment anyway. You'd probably say something more like, not bad for an incompetent fool like you. Not bad for an incompetent fool like you. Now that I've seen what it's like to be a game master, it's pretty clear. I wasn't the only one who had it rough each and every game. Creating a game is far from easy. I certainly never expected us to recognise each other's efforts like this. Creating a game is far from easy. I certainly never expected us to recognise each other's efforts like this. All wrong. This isn't Beato. Battler slammed hard on the desk, but the piece Beato showed no reaction. After all, Battler hadn't ordered her to react. It would be easy to revive that Beato as a piece. However, it would only move according to Battler's wishes. Having a conversation with it was no different from talking to himself. The Game Master could summon any kind of piece. He could move those pieces in any way he wanted, reigning as an absolute god. However, for that very reason, they were just pieces. That made it unbelievably lonely and sad. You created many kinds of furniture, as well as several tales in the past. When I saw that, I was sure you were having a great time doing it. But that's all wrong. You were unbelievably lonely. It must have been such a relief for you, having an opponent like me who could actually go against you. Yep, I'm painfully aware of that now. That weird polite Beato really was you, wasn't she? The way you were 1,000 years ago. Yet, she's a different person. The way she looks just like you is what I really can't get over. I can't stand it. However, she isn't a piece, so she can go against my will. That Beato is much more alive than a piece like you. I get that. But it's all wrong. That isn't you. She's a completely separate person, like a long-lost little sister or something. And that's why I just can't accept her. As much as he hated the piece version of Beato, Battler felt an even stronger dislike for the chick Beato. Chick Beato. Even after a whole 1,000 years, she still wouldn't become the original Beato. Even if she were ordered to act like the original Beato, it would just be an imitation. This was a very similar but separate person, and definitely not Beato herself. So, in the previous game, Beato really did disappear for all eternity. Even after becoming the Game Master, there was no way to revive her. Laugh. Laugh at how pathetic I am. Just give it a rest already. You're just an illusion, who won't laugh unless I order it, and who can't even continue to laugh unless I keep on ordering it. Just disappear. Oh, is that the... Christ. Okay, he's getting rid of the Beato even though he wants her, but not quite her. Okay, so we'll end things off there, the usual. This has been GreenyXI. Hope you've enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again in a bit when... Let's see if we can see before we finish off. I guess we're actually getting to Rockin' Gma properly. Nice, okay. Thanks again for watching, folks. See you again in a bit.